Hello and welcome to the Business Spotlight interview series. I am your host, Barrett McDonald, and today I am joined by Maurice with Archadeck and Case Design Remodeling Halifax. So Maurice, thanks for joining us today. Would you like to kick us off with a bit of a background as to who you are and what your businesses are and everything?
Sure. Thanks, Barrett. So we have two companies. We have Archadeck of Nova Scotia and Case Design Remodeling. Archadeck is design build, primarily focused on residential remodeling, and so we do decks, patios, screen porches, sunrooms, really anything focused on outdoor living, and primarily focused here in Halifax Metro, but we do work outside. Like we will go even within a couple of hours outside of the city. So we do lots of work in the Valley, South Shore. We'll go to Toronto, Glasgow. So we'll even go to Cape Breton for certain and unique projects also. And then the other business we have, really the same client that we're working at with residential homeowners, but Case Design Remodeling. We focus on designing and building kitchens, bathrooms, additions, whole house renovation. So we'll do really anything in the residential home, and most of the work, we will do some home improvement work. Most of what we do is, but the majority of our projects, we're doing that upfront design as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. It sounds like a great plethora of options, and you don't seem to have too much seasonality to what you're doing, so you're able to stay busy 12 months of the year.
Yeah, so we do stay busy. Even with our deck business, we build year round. So the seasonality that we would face really would be consistent with probably a lot of other businesses. Somebody maybe in the car dealership would probably deal with a similar seasonality in that holiday time, people sort of, December go into sort of Christmas mode, and we'll see a little bit of a lull with sort of, kind of leads and opportunities coming through because people are in that mindset. And then it'll start to ramp up a bit again once we get kind of back into January, February, and people start focusing. But as far as our building, we're building year round, and we're designing and kind of getting ready for spring, or this time of the year, we're trying to get, it's focused on getting things closed out and constructed. And then we're also working with people that are looking at getting things done over the winter and done in advance of the good weather so they can be ready for other outdoor projects. So there is a little bit of seasonality, but overall, we're busy all year, like you said.
Absolutely. That's tremendous and awesome. So what would you attribute your growth to?
I think growth over the years for us, like it's been 21 years we've been building. So the biggest thing is that we've slowly and steadily added good people. So anything that we do in our business, we're not really like think of a software company and they could take 100 or 200 new users and the system just handles that. For us, we need people to get out and we call it project developer, meet with our clients, work with them, understand what they're trying to do. We need designers, estimators, project managers, good skilled tradespeople. So any of our growth and more volume means more people for us. So that's a real key thing for us, is recruiting, getting the right qualified and experienced people, training our people, and helping them grow as the longer they're with us. And that's a big part of our growth. I think the other thing, is just to provide a quality project is obviously a given for people. Good creative design, quality work, communicate with them, keep them informed with their schedule, have a good, smooth process. We follow a very formal process through our projects, and understanding and committing to that process, knowing that it succeeds. That's a real big part, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you talk about having quality employees, what kind of qualities do you look for when you're looking at hiring employees, and how do you find that you foster a positive and productive work environment for them?
That's a good question. I think that the single biggest thing that we're going to look for immediately is a passion or a fire for what they do, and that they're going to bring to your team, that they're motivated. Work is something they enjoy. They enjoy this industry. A lot of people enjoy the industry we're in because you can see the validation of what you created or what you've done. So whether you're working with people to gather those requirements, or if you're a designer or an estimator or a project manager or a trade, our projects usually convert within weeks. We could be on site 1 week to, 3 months, most of our jobs.
Right.
And so we can really quite frequently see how you've impacted, improved people's spaces. And I think that validation is a big part. And you can see that in people that like that part of the business, and they thrive on kind of seeing what they've created, and they can get that validation. So that's another key one. The other thing that I feel that we're going to look for, experience is an obvious one, but before experience, we want to look at character of person. How creative are they? Are they able to work independently and then also collaboratively with an overall group? Because everything is sort of team based. Every project we do gets touched by each different team all the way through its cycle. So that's another important one for us. And then I think the other thing that we've always tried to look at is look at somebody and look at what they've accomplished before. Have they demonstrated commitment and success somewhere? Like, is it whether it be work, education, sport, music, arts, something that they've committed themselves to and shown success. And then to me, that's a good way to get winning people on your team is you can see they've demonstrated where they've succeeded or they've won or they've done things. And to see that within, especially in team environments that they've done that, I think is a great start to look for people with those qualities.
Yeah, all of those are good things. And it's nice that it's not just one size fits all. You're looking for those aptitudes across a couple of different facets, which opens up your bucket a little bit more for the catchment process, which is good.
Yeah. It's interesting you said that. Like one thing I will say about the team that we have, because we would have, we have people that are administrative on the team. We have designers, project developers, the estimators, the trades. They're all very different minded people. So, and then we have people from all over different regions of Canada. We have people through immigration from different parts of the world in all three different roles. So there's a lot of different minded people. And I think that's a real driver of success too, because although we're process driven and we follow kind of a formal script, the way we do our business, you've got different minded people with different experience and different viewpoints, and that can be helpful. Yeah.
Absolutely. So what would you say have been some of your biggest learnings as an employer since you began in business?
I think the biggest thing we've had to learn is that if I look at my both my employees and our clients, and you talk about growth, I think the growth you have and the success any business has is going to be relative to the value that you provide. So if we look at our deck business, for example, and growth for us is building more decks and patios and sunrooms, well, that means working with more people. So in order to get the opportunity to work with more people, you have to do a good job. You have to build a good reputation. You've got to build trust, and you've got to, so understanding that our success is allowing our clients to succeed by the impacts we're making and the quality of work we're doing and how we're impacting their lives in a positive way. Drives more business and more clients. And then with people inside our business, we look at it that our employees, if we can offer a good opportunity to our employees and a good path for them to grow, for them to enjoy their work, for them to achieve more as the longer they're with us and sort of take on more responsibility, they'll be happy and motivated, and they in turn will take care of our clients. So really, we almost look at it is that we really serve our employees as much as we serve our clients, and and looking at it that way, I think, can help you build a good team with people that will stay with you. And as or anybody knows, the longer employees with you, the more experience and knowledge they have, the more productive they can be. So that's probably the key thing, I think. I mean, the job, that's probably the key thing.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. So what would you say are some of the common misconceptions about running a business, and how do you address them?
Well, I wrote a couple of sort of bullets here. I'm kind of looking at my notes as we talk. The first thing is kind of that things are going to be perfect, or that things have to be perfect before you get started. And it's 21 years for us. There's still plenty of things we can refine and learn and as a group and as a team. But if we go back, like you have to get started somewhere. So
Right.
you can't let it overwhelm you. There can be so much with a business, any type of business that needs to be done. You sort of have to, you got to get started, lay out your plan and get started kind of one step at a time and build steadily. Don't have a misconception that you're going to go from, day one and then in 6 months, this is going to operate and be functioning like a decades old business. It's going to take time. So that's one thing I think that you see all these messages about startups and how quick they ramp up and things like that. Well, to me, I don't know. It's probably not feasible in certain, if you're right on the ground running a business, like you kind of have to lay out your steps and steadily progress. So the other thing that I think is probably a misconception and that they look at people, business owners or maybe who have had success and think anything about it is really glamorous, because day to day, as you have, you mentioned you have, a couple of businesses you work in, and as you would attest to, day to day, there's a grind and there has to be a grit and a resilience to get to work and to do those things that impact. And there's lots of things you enjoy, and there's plenty of things you would probably prefer not to have to do that have to be done. And that it's more about, to me, about being steady, kind of refining, adapting, improving, and kind of continually adding and setting goals and sort of resetting. And there's never really any point that I feel that you get to where you say, okay, yeah, we're here. Like it doesn't feel like that. Our foot is always on the gas. We're trying to do a better job. We're trying to provide a better opportunity for our people, do a better job for our clients, and that it's a continual day-to-day thing, I think. So any misconception about the glamour or whatever, that's not really the reality of what's here.
Yeah, it's there's a saying that a tree is either growing or dying. So the same thing is true with business. If you're not continuing to move forward, you're just staying stagnant and someone's going to pass you by.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think if I look at our employees, if we're not growing, then we're not creating those opportunities for advancement for our team. And because they want to grow, not only the company, but they have their individual goals there. And so without growth, you can't really provide them that path, I feel. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, which makes sense. So when you think back to the beginning, if you had to start from square one in business, what would you do differently to get going again?
Well, my wife and I both started when we started the business, and there was really two of us, and then we had some trade teams and carpenters that we got started with, and I think although I think it was important to learn every area of the business and how it worked and how to handle how to handle the project management and how to understand and do the estimating and do the sales and then understand the numbers. And so it's almost like there's an overwhelming amount of areas to look at. So to me, what I would shift is, although I think it's important to know all those areas in order to run and operate your business and manage, I would have probably looked to add people quicker, even people to help support. And so I think sometimes the only limitation on growth could be your capacity to service that opportunity. So if I think about when we were earlier and we thought, okay, we have certain goals and we have certain volumes we want to do, and these are the amount of people we want to help with projects. If you don't really have the people to stand behind that to be able to capably service that, you can't really do it. So I think that would be what I would probably have done sooner, is identify an area where we could have used some help and get people on the team a little bit quicker. And that would have helped us, ramp up. But I mean, in some ways though, too, you don't really know in year one what you know in year 3 or year 5 or that knowledge. So you kind of have to go through it a little bit. And
but it in retrospect, it's good to realize where some of those fears were and how you could have hit your goals a little bit quicker if you had just taken that chance a little bit more. So it's a natural progression that a lot of business owners feel when they're looking back, is I thought I could do it all, but now I realize I couldn't. And if I had hired that one more person, maybe I would have grown faster, but that is the scenarios that we live in.
Yeah, well, that's a good way to put it. And that if you look at yeah, think in an area you need help, or maybe an area that you're not as suited to, or that you don't enjoy as much. And if you can get somebody to come in and get the help, it just frees up so much more time. One thing you have to be careful of, I find, is as a business owner, to get, like, you're in the details and you live there part of the time, but not to get so bogged down there that you can't pick yourself up and look and kind of see what's happening and look at your metrics and look at your numbers and understand. And if you don't have people to help you, you really don't get the time to do that. So, and it can be critical, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, it's yourself and your wife involved in the business and have been since day one. So how do you find that you both balance your personal life and the demands of running a business?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think if we go back to when we first started, I think we did too much. Like we ran evenings, weekends. There was just too much time, and then you can burn yourself out. But then once we have two children, they're teenagers now, but when we had children, it really shifted dramatically. Like it was, you've got children, you need to prioritize time with them, and then time away from work. So we really made a shift where we're not running evenings, we're not running weekends. And thankfully in our business, we're fortunate enough we don't have to. People are available to meet during the week, and we can control our schedule that way. And then just to prioritize not only the kids and the family, but some time away from work to, just to clear your head, keep in shape, get out, spend time with your family or your friends and those kind of things. I think that's important, so that you're not. I think when we started, we got into a period where you're running evenings, you're running weekends, you're running so many work days in a row that when you get to Monday and you're a little bit burned out on things, you're not thinking as quickly, you're not as productive, you're not as creative. And so just to prioritize your time. And then the other part, when I talk about people again, if you got the right people and you're building them along, they allow you the freedom to start stepping away and looking at your business a little bit differently. So it goes right back to getting quality people to allow you that flexibility, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty sound advice. And as we're wrapping up here, do you have any one-off pieces of advice for anyone who might be watching this series thinking about getting into business for themselves?
I would say the advice would be, don't hesitate to reach out to people for help, whoever that is. We have there are franchise businesses that we have, so we have a support team that's there that we can reach out to, that especially in the early years was very beneficial. But don't hesitate to reach out to help where you need it. And then also, like you mentioned, there's a point where you're going to have to take a risk. You're going to bring overhead and you're going to bring expense on bringing in people. But if you're set up, you plan for it, you're ready for it, you have the cash flow to kind of onboard people. Getting the right people on will give you the freedom and the opportunity to start growing and building and to look at your business as an owner and to grow it, rather than getting so stuck in the day to day that if you never pull away from that, it's hard to grow and to get where you want to go.
Absolutely, that's tremendous. And I want to say thank you so much for your time today, Maurice. It was great meeting you and learning more about your entrepreneurial journey. And everyone watching, I look forward to seeing you on our next episode.
Well, thanks for the opportunity. Have a great day, Barrett.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.